visitors here at the National Zoo and Aquarium. It's lovely to welcome you guys back to another edition of our Facebook Lives. Today we're in one of our native walkthroughs. So we've got our lovely little swamp wallabies over here. So we've got 7 of them in here. We also have our little token Cape Goose over there. We also have 2 Kangaroo Island kangaroos. You can see Talia in the background. We'll head over towards her. We also have 2 Eastern Greys, which is Dot and Banjo. They're at the other end of the enclosure. They're mother and son. Talia's got a mouthful of some casuarina pine there. Doing something nice instead. So Talia here, she's a Kangaroo Island kangaroo. We have Rambo off having a nap in the grass behind her. So the KIs, the Eastern Greys and the Swampies are part of the family known as Macropods. There's 63 species in the Macropod family that reside here in Australia as well as across the water over in Papua New Guinea. These 63 species are then broken down into our wallabies, our padmelons, our tree kangaroos, our regular kangaroos like Talia here, and our wallaroos. There is also a pest population over in New Zealand, similar to our own pest population species. They steal some of the habitat from their own native species as well as compete for the food resources. There is also an introduced population of red-necked wallabies down here, sweetie, on the island of Lambay, which is off the coast of Ireland. They've adapted to that cooler climate the same way that Talia's long coat is. They've got a nice shaggy coat to keep them nice and warm. So a bit of history about macropods. They first started to evolve here in Australia around 15 million years ago. And then between 15 million and 3 million years ago, they went through a rapid evolution, which then created the many different species we have in our country today. Which is pretty amazing when you think about the fact that people didn't come to Australia until 40,000 years ago. The most amazing evolutionary trait of these guys is their amazing way of movement. We'll try and get Talia to do it for us. Talia, come here, sweetie. Come on. She's gonna do the other one for us. So it's actually their hopping movement. So hopping is a very efficient way of getting around. It uses 50% less, there we go, good girl. Uses 50% less energy than an equivalent sized 4-legged mammal and can reach speeds of up to 55 kilometers an hour. And each hop can be as long as 4 meters and as high as 2 meters. They can also do an incredible way of walking. We'll see if Talia will do it for us. She likes to hop a bit more than it. There we go. Come on. No. There we go. So this is what we call a pentipedal walk. So when broken down, it pretty much just means that they have 5 contact limbs on the ground. And in this instance, we have her 2 front feet, her 2 back feet, and her beautiful tail behind her. So wallabies and kangaroos have very similar diets, but it can vary in amounts and variety. While they both do eat grass, wallabies tend to eat a lot more browse and tree matter. As you probably see around the enclosure, we've got some eucalyptus and some casuarina pine. Casuarina pine is one of their favourite things, apart from the treats that I'm giving Talia here, and they often run towards it. Kangaroos though, they like their grass a lot more. They will occasionally nibble on the browse, but they will generally just nibble on the grass. So to digest these leaves, it takes a lot longer than our normal foods for us normal mammals. By doing this, they digest similar to what a ruminant is, and that is, the ruminants are our cows and our sheep, but the individual way the macropods digest means that they don't actually produce any methane gas. Due to this slow digestion rate, they are able to absorb every last drop of moisture from their food, which means they can go weeks, even months, without any water at all. This amazing trait means that the red kangaroo can survive the harsh climate of the desert without any struggles in the slightest. So the reason for the different diets between wallabies and kangaroos is their habitats. Wallabies tend to live in dense foresty areas as well as rocky areas. They're built more for this due to their smaller stature, as well as their much more mobile tail. Some species, like the rock wallabies, have even adapted their tail to be used like a rudder when leaping up those rocks, and can change direction mid-air. Meanwhile, the kangaroos, they live on nice big flat open plains, so they have much stronger legs and a nice fat muscular tail to help them cross those plains with ease. Talia there using her tail to push forward for that food. So Talia here, as I said before, she's a Kangaroo Island kangaroo, which is technically a subspecies of western grey kangaroo. The main differences between these guys and them is their nice shaggy coat, as well as Talia being a bit short. And they're also got shorter limbs, tails and ears than their western grey counterparts. They also have nice dark tips to their tails, their feet and their nose, as Talia's cute little bookable nose is. So Talia, as I said, she is quite small. She is technically only a little bit taller than our swamp wallabies in here. She is in fact completely fully grown, despite the fact that some people often call her a joey. She is roughly around 5 years old and probably won't get much taller than this. Rambo, on the other hand, we might go head over towards him, see if he'll wake up from his good midday nap. Come on, Talia. Hello. Hello. So the Kangaroo Island species, as their name suggests, they live on the Kangaroo Island, which coincidentally is named after them. Hi Rambo. So Rambo is our biggest animal in here. He weighs roughly 70 kilos. He does like to do walking a bit more than he's hopping, as he's a bit older. He's 13 years old. So kangaroo males, they generally get bigger and more muscular as they age up. So he is much bigger than our eastern grey young male banjo. And that's just because Banjo is still quite young, only about 4 years old. So Kangaroo Island roos are more docile and calm because they live on an island that has pretty much no predators at all. There is some species found on this island that cannot be found anywhere else on the planet. They also have an insurance population of koalas there, which have none of the diseases that the mainland koalas have. Unfortunately, due to the 2019 and 2020 bushfires, a lot of these animals were damaged a lot. So it's estimated that 30 to 40%, Talia's coming back because we have treats. It's estimated that 30 to 40% of the roos on Kangaroo Island died during these fires, and 1/3 of the 50,000 koalas also died during these fires. The endangered Kangaroo Island dunner, which is a small marsupial the size of a mouse, also lost 95% of its habitat during these fires. Luckily though, because of this year's amazing rain, the island has begun to recover and a lot of these animals have begun to repopulate. It will still take a very long time for it to get back to where it was, but it's pretty amazing how quickly they bounce back. So we've been doing quite a bit of training with these two here. We often weigh these guys every month or two. It did take quite a lot of time to do this though, as the scales we use are quite large and they have quite a big step up, which the Kangaroos are not overly comfortable with. Come on, Rambo. To get them used to this step, we created mini steps using planks of wood to slowly build up that height so that they'd eventually get used to that. When we first started doing the weighing, it took over an hour for them to hop onto those scales. Now it's pretty much done and dusted in as little as 10 minutes. Yes, Rambo, come on. It's corn. You don't want it. You want the peanut. Nope, that's also corn. We also do regular teeth checks on Rambo as he is heading towards his twilight years. This is really important so that we can check his nice teeth, make sure they're nice and clean and strong. You don't get it. It's really important on macropods that we keep an eye on those lower teeth, because those teeth are actually part of their jaw, and if there became an infection or even a grass seed came into those gums, it could end very, very badly. So you probably noticed Talia and Rambo's feet are quite unique. Talia's are quite small and quite dainty. This is because females don't actually need to fight for dominance at all. Whereas males, hopefully Rambo will let me do it. Okay, alright. No, come forward. His feet, Talia, getting in the way. His feet are quite a lot larger than the females, and the claws themselves are probably about twice as long. Each individual claw is quite a lot wider than on the females. This is to help him fight for dominance over other males. In a mob of kangaroos, there's pretty much only one male who is considered the dominant, and all the other smaller ones will generally fight for it and usually lose. Having those big claws means that he's more likely to connect with the other males and cause a fair bit of damage if he wanted to. So hopefully Talia will show us here. Rambo doesn't quite like to do it. He's a bit slow. Talia, stretch up. So as you can see, Talia will pretty much put all of her weight back onto that tail and take all of the weight off her feet. This is similar to what the males do when they're fighting. They'll put all of that weight back onto their tail. Stretching. And that allows them to use their back feet to kick up at the males. So kangaroo soft feet means that they don't actually compact the ground at all. You want the corn now? Got a full mouth. The same cannot be said for our own pest populations, such as deer and pigs, whose hooves are not built for the Australian landscape. Humans as well have done a lot of damage to the Australian landscape, and since European settlement we have cleared nearly over 40% of our woodlands and forests. You're coming back over. Good boy. By clearing this forest and woodlands, this means that the wallabies populations has decreased while the kangaroos themselves have increased. This increase in kangaroo numbers can also be attributed to a decrease in dingo numbers. This has happened because of us introducing pests like the fox and dogs, as well as hunting and baiting the dingoes. Dingoes are what we call a trophic regulator. This means that they usually only hunt on prey that is overpopulated or densely populated in smaller areas, which means that those creatures that are struggling to get by will generally be left alone. This trait can only be seen in dingoes, wolves, and lions. So these larger number of kangaroos and the increasing human populated areas has led to us struggling to coexist with these guys. It's got a nice big peanut there. Because of this, they've been accused of damaging fences and eating a lot of the grass. The damaged fences is only partially true though. Kangaroos can easily jump over a well-maintained tight fence. Having that loose wire or barbed wire on that fence can lead to the kangaroos getting caught, injuring themselves, and further causing damage to the fences. They can also crawl under the looser wire. By having no barbed wire and the wires themselves tight, means they can get through and be no bother to anyone. They also naturally move on from overgrazed areas and will generally not come back until they know that that grass has come back. Running out of treats. It is our responsibility to help these guys thrive in their natural environment that we have indeed encroached on. We must be patient and support Australia's natural biodiversity and control the pest populations so that they can live in their natural environment. Because it wouldn't be Australia without these iconic animals. Well, that's all from us today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed it and enjoyed seeing Talia's adorable, cute little face. I hope to see you guys again soon, and we're looking forward once the zoo opens for you to come visit these guys in person.